All right, turning now back to this year's elections. As we said earlier, we've got about 2 months before this year's primary election for governor. And after that, we'll move on to the general election, which of course is held in November. Now, it's a given you'll see both major party nominees on the ballot. That happens every election cycle. But there's also a good chance you'll have a third party choice as well. And that could very well include Larry Sharpe, a libertarian who's taking his second shot at the governorship. He ran in 2018 as well, and he was also the Libertarian candidate for vice president in 2016. We spoke this week about his campaign and where he stands on top issues. Larry, happy to have you here. Thanks for coming on.
I'm so happy to be here.
So you are the Libertarian Party's candidate for governor this year. Hopefully you'll be on the ballot in November. You're starting that process in just a couple of days. Can you first introduce yourself to voters? Who is Larry Sharpe?
I hope you guys remember me. I mean, I ran in 2018. I crossed this state, all 62 counties then. We raised $500,000. We got a bunch of votes, and we got the party ballot access for the Libertarian Party, absolutely. And I was talking about actual issues to keep New Yorkers here in New York, because my biggest issue has always been New Yorkers are leaving. I was considering leaving, and I went down south, saw a city I liked, and got mad and came back and said, you know what? Why is my state's government so bad? Why is my beautiful state run so poorly that I have to leave my family and my friends? And I said, no, I'm going to go back and I'm going to become the governor and change things. Dan, that did not work out as planned. However, that was the goal. And I came back and it didn't work, but I'm at it again because I do love this state. I do care. We have to have actual answers. We haven't had answers in 20 years. Democrats have been running this state for 20 years. No answer. Republicans have been watching. No plan. No one's going to fix this state if someone doesn't step up to do it. And to be forward, there's a selfish part to me running. I don't want to move, right? I love this state and I don't want to move. And so many people are moving. I hope I'm the guy who can start that ball rolling in the right direction.
So tell me what you see as top issues for voters. How do we keep them here like how you want to? What are they telling you on the campaign trail this year?
Well, sadly, it hasn't changed. My website, LarrySharpe.com, has had policies on it for 4 years that no one's taken, but they're still there. One of the number one reasons, there's two reasons, but number one is it costs too much to live here. Number two, lack of opportunities. We will pay tons of money as people if the opportunities are amazing. The opportunities are not amazing, and the burden is so expensive and everything. We've got to fix that. There are a couple of ways we can. The biggest thing I want to do is I want to create a separate NYSST, the NIST, New York State Social Trust, a trust similar to what we do in Norway, what we do in Singapore, run by a separate private company, overseen by us, but run by a separate company, and raising money to deal with the issues we have to deal with, like education, things like that. We do that the right way, not like the way we did it before with the lottery, which didn't work, but the right way, where others do it. Now we start paying for education directly from Albany. That then ends the need for school tax, which then cuts property tax about in half for most New Yorkers. Rent stabilized so the youth can stay. Not just that, the elderly can stay, the retirees can stay. All of a sudden now things get better and people start staying. Happy New Yorkers means a better New York.
So what about the crime problem? I think you're totally right that people really focus on affordability and cost of living because it is too high in New York. But there's that other big issue in this year's elections of crime. How do we lower the crime rate, which I should say is lower than it was in the 1990s. We're still relatively low, but it is going up a little bit. What would you do about
100%.
that?
100%. Look, the reality of crime comes from a couple reasons. Number one is the black market. Right? Number one. And the black market became huge because of the lockdowns. When the lockdowns came, people were getting checks and didn't want to go to work. So the black market exploded. Not just that, we stopped everything from coming in. So everything became more expensive. The black market exploded. Not just that, we decided, you know what? Let's keep our young men not going to school and not going to work. The black marketeer said, thank you for recruiting my army for me. So now we have tons of black market violence. Number one. Number two, addiction/mental illness, they often coincide. Not always, but they often do. That's our second issue. When you have unhappy people who can't be with friends, who can't go get help, who can't get the drugs they need, well, they're going to act out. It's how it works. Fixing those two issues. Black market aspect. First thing we do is let people work again. Open up, let people work again. Encourage people to work and go back and forth. Number one. Number two, help people who are in trouble where they are. In most cities, that means places like the MTA, places like bus stations. And instead of letting people roam around to hurt people, provide areas right for them. Allow people to go to the safe areas with security and with people who will help. And now you create almost a medical facility inside these facilities. That's how you begin to stop both of those things. Let people feel loved and cared about. Happy people don't commit crimes.
So as we talk about your candidacy, something that comes up when third parties run a lot is this fear that they will split the vote of another candidate and then hand it to a candidate that the third party identifies with even less. What do you say to those people about being on the ballot this year and potentially splitting the vote of somebody else?
100%. I love that question. Here's the reality of New York State. We are about 3-1 Democrat to Republican. A Republican has not won a statewide election in this state in 20 years, and the state's getting blue or not redder. Any Republican who tells you they're going to win a statewide election is either delusional or lying to you. They are taking your money. They're not going to win. How do I know that? They have no ideas. Ask the questions you asked me, ask the Republican. He will say, Democrats bad. Democrats bad. He has no plan. He cannot win. So splitting the vote in this case is a fantasy. One of two things will happen. Either the Democrat wins, that's option one, or an outsider wins. I hope I'm that outsider. If Democrats are upset enough with Hochul, if they are, I hope they are, they will do one of three things. Stay home. 2, hold their nose and vote for Hochul anyway. Or 3, vote for me. The data is in. About 25% of the people who support me are registered Democrats. Democrats will vote for me. They will not vote for Republican. There is no split voting here. There is no taking away anyone's chances. It will either be a Democrat or an independent.
So talk to me about that. Why not Kathy Hochul for these voters? For people that are thinking of choosing between Kathy Hochul and you in November, why go with you?
Because if you want what's happening in New York State to continue, vote for her. She is exactly the establishment. If you say to yourself, New York State's fine, you're right, you shouldn't vote for me, you should vote for her. If you're saying, no, I'm tired of my friends and family leaving. I'm tired of people I know complaining all the time. I'm tired of having to go away on vacation and not staying in New York State. I'm tired of busting my rump and not getting ahead. If those are the things that you're saying, why would you vote for the people who've been doing that to you for 20 years? Stop. Vote for somebody who won't do that. Vote for someone who understands that and wants to change it and has plans. And you might say, Larry, I don't know if I like your plans. I have plans. Let's talk about them. No one else does.
All right, Larry Sharpe, the Libertarian Party's candidate for governor this year. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your perspective.
Thank you so much for having me.